We had an intern who 2 years ago was building the whole demo of physiotherapy, and then he took our devices, started knocking on therapist doors in London, went into Chartered Society of Physiotherapists, just like walked in, talked to first therapist, "You want to try the device?" And the therapist was so taken aback by this strange person, so they said, "Yes, why not?" And this somehow really changed the whole direction of the company. What's the problem with therapy? In order to improve, you need to train 3 hours a day. No one trains 3 hours a day. It's a lot. The more you do, the better it helps. How you train, you do repetitive movements. You have a ball, you grab it, you move it. Super boring. And you need to do hundreds or 300 repetitions. So any gamification already improves everything.
Hello, I'm Allan Rankin, co-founder and managing director of Target 3D. Welcome to Ivan Isakov from Valkyrie Industries to our series talking about behind the technology.
Great, thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting. Excited always to be in this room.
Both our companies are 8 years old. There's a bit of an interesting intersection where we sort of cross paths a little bit back then at the Digital Engineering and Test Center. Fast forward to today, if you could tell me a little bit about what your main sort of product is, which you have in the market.
Initially, we're a technology-first company, but now, when I describe the company, we are building wearables for neurological rehabilitation or stroke rehabilitation. So we create wearables that combine electrical stimulation, immersion, using extended reality, for example, and gamification to create efficient and engaging recovery for stroke survivors.
And so physically how that works is someone wears something and based on what happens in a game environment, they are stimulated?
Yeah, so we can start from just what is stroke or any neurological diseases, either MS, spinal cord injury or similar. There is a lack of connection between the brain, the motor cortex of the brain, and the movement and the peripheral nervous system. Either it's a broken nerve or no nerves at all, or just weakened neural pathways. And in order to strengthen them, the person needs to repeat the movement many times. Or you need to stimulate the nerves while the patient repeats the movements. So the patient needs to think about making a movement. And using gamification, we motivate the patient into doing certain movements, either catching a fish or grabbing a box. And if the patient cannot do the movement fully, we help them with electrical stimulation.
Okay.
Stimulation finishes the movement and strengthens this neural pathway.
Tell me a bit about the original product which you created, because I seem to recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had a much more encompassing wearable. So how did you go from there to where you are?
Yeah, exactly. So during pandemic, we really reevaluated the whole approach of the company, and I think there was several aspects. One was product-based aspect, that if you have a full body suit, it works only on this amount of people. So we were 3 founders, all male, all approximately the same height, and it worked on us, but it didn't work on anyone else. We had money to build only 1 prototype, so we couldn't really test it on many other people, unfortunately. So we said, okay, let's go to more modular, where people can put this on in under 5 minutes and start the experience. And we thought at that time, Quest 1 and Quest 2 just were released, so no cables. A lot of people started doing fitness, so FitXR became big. And we thought, this is our time, we need to go into fitness. But then we started talking to investors and trying to understand a bit on the market right now, not on what will happen in 5 years. First of all, investors told us, fitness is a great market, very big. Fitness VR is much smaller, and there are 2 big companies, and a lot of very small independent companies, a bit dubious already. And then you take VR fitness hardware, and it becomes even smaller. So they didn't want to invest in us because of that, and it kind of makes sense. Maybe in 5-10 years, when you have glasses like yours, augmented reality, and everyone will be using it for fitness, then it will make sense. A bit too early right now. But still at that time, I had a feeling like we're selling devices to some tech bros in Silicon Valley already have devices, already have VR headset and want some additional stuff. And it felt like, it doesn't really change the envelope. And then I actually noticed in myself that I prefer, doing fitness. I can do push-ups right now. I don't need headset for that.
It's the reality of it. So you weren't reaching for the devices when it came to your fitness regimen?
Well, I really enjoyed when I was putting it in and putting in the headset. It was very good, and next day I feel the DOMs, but it's not a must. So it's nice to have. It's not must have.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of people telling us, hey, what about physiotherapy? This really can be used in physiotherapy. We never wanted to go into physiotherapy because we were afraid of medical market, of all the regulations and everything. But then at some point, like, we don't have any choice. That's the only way we can go. We had an intern who 2 years ago, for 2 months, were building the small demo of physiotherapy, and then he took the headset, took our devices, started knocking on therapists' doors in London, went into Chartered Society of Physiotherapists, just like walked in, talked to first therapist, do you want to try the device? And the therapist was so taken aback by this strange person, so they said, yes, why not? and this somehow really changed the whole direction of the company. And then we thought, okay, we tried it with therapists, let's go and try it on stroke patients. And since then, we're like, okay, well, this is definitely something that we need to do. 100% our company is focusing now on physiotherapy for neurological disorders.
So having done this trials with patients themselves, what's their feedback?
Yeah, so what's the problem with therapy? In order to improve, you need to train 3 hours a day.
Okay.
And no one trains 3 hours a day, usually. It's a lot. And no one does that, really, unfortunately. People don't get enough therapy. Because actually the science changed in the last 10, 15 years. Before, people didn't know that therapy would help. But now everyone knows that therapy does really, really help. The more you do, the better it helps. So we need to increase the dose of therapy. So you go home and you train. And how you train, you do repetitive movement. You have a ball, you grab it, you move it. You have a ball, you grab it, you move it. Super boring. And you need to do hundreds or 300 repetitions. So any gamification already improves everything. So they put on VR headset and like, oh, there's a bird. And I'm controlling the bird by changing my angle of the hand. And I don't think really about the hand, I'm thinking about the bird. But then stimulation helps me, and I'm thinking about it, and I try to move it as fast as possible, as far as possible.
So the gamification of therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And what's the sensation? So how does that feel?
Depends on what you see as well.
Okay.
So stimulation, what it is, it's very short pulses, like in microseconds length pulses that repeatedly activate your nerves and muscle cells so that muscle contracts. So if the frequency is low, then it just contracts muscles like that. If the frequency is high, then you get constant contraction. So muscle is contracted, like when you hold a heavy object. You can change the intensity. So it goes from very low to very, very strong. And on very low, you can experience the sensation as something on the surface. Your mechanoreceptors, so your receptors in the skin first get the sensations.
Okay.
And so you can feel it, oh, like someone's touching me or someone's pushing me.
It's almost tingly.
Tingly as well. It can be if you go slightly stronger, or if you position it very close to nerves, then it can give you sensations of pins and needles. But if you position it correctly on top of a muscle belly and you run good parameters, then your muscle just starts contracting more and more, and then at some point you're just feeling that your hand moves around. And it's a strange sensation because it's not you who's doing that, it's the stimulation which is doing that, but it's not painful. Some people like it. It's like a massage. For example, if you push on your wrist flexions, then your hand moves a bit. So this is kind of similar thing. Someone is pushing and your hand moves. If you go further up, you start getting painful sensations. And this can be used in military applications.
to simulate someone getting hit by a baton or something, right?
But this is, I just describe sensations on their own. But we humans never experience sensations on their own. We usually combine it. It's usually sense of fusion. You see something, you touch something, you feel it in the fingers, you feel it here, you hear something. It's a lot of things combined that gives you this sensation.
Amazing. Thank you, Ivan. That's great. Really interesting technologies. And it's been nice that our respective companies' paths have crossed over the years.
Yeah,
it's great to
definitely
see you succeeding. Ivan, tell us about how people can find out about you.
Yeah, it's valkyrie-vr.com. That's our website. You can go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best place where we share a lot of updates.
Thank you for your time today, and thank you for joining us on the Target 3D YouTube series.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Allan.
So the sort of history of the study of human interaction has always been radically altered by technology.
Film was the really big change.
Once people could see what was going on and slow down the film,